Jimmy. I want to thank you all for being here tonight, and a huge thanks to Michelle Knight-Sterner and to AOS and to the Office of Diversity and Inclusion for making tonight possible. Jimmy Santiago Baca is first and foremost an American poet, but he's also a novelist, a memoirist, a screenwriter, and now I suppose a producer of musicals and other things. He wears many hats. His work is known around the world. His journey has been an American journey, but it's not one familiar to the dominant culture. Instead, his story seeped in from the margins, but his ability to use language beautifully and to come at it from the heart, aiming at heart, has brought him to center stage. Though many have tried to co-opt him and his work, have thrown a disgusting amount of money at him to lure him into the trap of entertainment, Jimmy knows what he loves. And what he loves is his work and helping others who are also skirting the margins of society. He has spent decades reaching back and helping others up, helping them find their voices, helping them tap into some special thing that works the magic for them. He's a strong believer that if you follow your heart and do what you love, the world will step up to meet you where you are. You can indeed follow your heart and your passion into success if you put in the work and believe in the dream. This is what he might call a purposeful life of writing well and living good, which is the sort of subtitle of tonight's event. When Jimmy Santiago Baca picks up his pen to write, he enters into a service position, and we all benefit. Baca is also a man of his word. If he says he's going to do something, you don't have to worry about it. It'll be so. When a man believes that strongly in the power of the word, you know his writing is filled with truths. Baca is also one of the strongest advocates for lifelong education of any person I've ever known. He actively sought to educate himself when the world failed to do so. He's actively sought to educate others when the world failed to do so. And he actively seeks out more and more and more education. He's like the sponge that never gets full because he's always squeezing some out for others. I can count on one hand the people that I respect as much as I do Jimmy Santiago Baca. He's done more and for more people than anyone else I know. It's an incredible honor to have him here. I've worked him really hard over the last 2 days on campus because I want everyone else to know about the love that he has for the world and to experience the insight he shares in his beautiful, beautiful writing. Please join me in welcoming Jimmy Santiago Baca.
Wow, that was a really cool introduction. I hate introductions. I really do. That one was good. You know, I gotta tell you folks something. When I first started, I don't like to go to universities and talk and read anymore. Although I have a whole bunch of invitations to go, and I took a long time deciding whether I was going to come here. At first, I didn't want to come, and I used it as an excuse against Judy. I said, no, I can't come because You know, you gotta, number one, I travel first class. I can, and you know, and this poor lady, man, she had to pay for, first class. I said, are you kidding me? Cállate, ¿qué? She's gonna pay for it? I couldn't let her do that. I said, no, what the hell's wrong with this school? Why can't they help you, man? What is wrong with these people? I mean, here I am. I've been invited to Yale and Stanford. Stanford had my position. I've been at Yale, held that position for a long time in Boston. All over. Not once was there ever a discussion about, oh no, we're not going to meet Mr. Baca's needs. And then all of a sudden, her yellow medicine review? Holy shit. It's everywhere, and it's been everywhere in the United States. And so I thought, you know what? I'm about to break into this whole other thing. Got a new series coming out with HBO. I'm doing this other stuff. Got a musical that they said it was impossible to put together. I kicked ass on that. And guess what? I got Mexicanos, Indios, Chicanos. It's all an ex-convict production with one of the greatest directors in the world. And we're starting next week in Charlotte at the biggest theater in the whole state. And it's all a bunch of convicts coming in, man. Women, men, and they're saying, you can't put together a production team, all ex-convicts. I said, watch me. We're doing it, and now we're traveling to 12, I think 15 cities. I don't want to go to the 15 cities, but it's going to be fun. Have you ever seen a woman who was brutalized in a cell for 15 years? She spent 10 of those years in darkness singing the blues to herself. She's going to sing with us. That's what I call the blues, not somebody who came up in the repertoire of music schools and all that bullshit. It's somebody who took their soul and could paint it on the dark, you know? Stuff like that. So we're doing it. It's like, wow. But I get this crazy email from her. And I think if anybody deserves, I need to go pay homage to this one. I need to go visit her and say thank you for putting this yellow medicine review in the hands of young writers everywhere that then went on to become New York bestseller writers, that went on to become Hollywood film writers. That lady did it. She went out of her way to start handing stuff to Native Americans and Chicanos and Mexicanos. Mira, aquí estás. Here's this book. You read it, and you're welcome to submit it and stuff. And one little tiny poem published spiraled our self-esteem to the galaxy. You have no idea how hard these kids work. You. And what's amazing is this. I do not like you. I don't like people. I don't, you annoy the shit out of me. And I don't like you. That was the first thing I said when I got here. The first hour I was here, I said, I gotta let you know that I don't like you. What a cool way to open up, right? This guy think he is, right? Well, I'm a writer who spends most of his time in isolation, right? And I'm a writer surrounded with my gente, my pueblo, my raza, my culture, right? And I have a great, great life. But every time I go out of that insulated incubation, I meet total assholes in society. People who throw stuff out their windows, people who smoke in my face, people who curse me out because I'm not walking fast enough, people who push me in the grocery store because I can't find the tortillas I'm looking for. I don't know. But they're very rude, and they cuss at me. And me, my wife keeps telling me, I'd like to start shit, but I'm too old. And some guy puts me like, hey, my wife's like, shit, turn on. I'm not too old, I can deal with that, you can't. So I came all the way out here to pay homage to a woman who's helped so many writers. And it was not easy. You got all of these movements. You got the Me Too movement, the Him Too movement, the It movement, the Billy Walla movement, the Gula Gula movement. They got every kind of movement you ever wanted. Go to the dictionary. They got huge encyclopedias in there. But they don't have a movement for Native American anthologies where you can get published as a Native American. You got one book, maybe 2 books. That's the stuff right there. That's the stuff. If you know what the mortality rate is for infants and the rest, if you know what alcoholism is, if you know what drug addiction is, I do. I live there in New Mexico. And it breaks your heart, man. It freaking breaks your heart to see a young kid. Oh my God. So I had to come up here and see her because it's like, of all the people I had to go see, she was top of the list. I gotta come. And when I got here, I said, ¿qué me cae esta gente? Puro vergüenza. ¿Entiendes? I don't like you. But then after the last couple of days, a la chingada, I started falling in love with you. The students here, you are kick-ass students. I was in Hollywood last week, right? And I'm with one of the greatest directors of all time, and we're doing this big project, right? And there's a bunch of people involved in this, right? Some of your heroes, in fact. And to me, like a trip to LA is not really I don't have to deal with people. I fly in, I'm immediately put into a palace. You have guarded gates, nobody can come in. Gorgeous $30, $40 million palaces. That's where I work, right? I don't own them, but when I come in, that's where I work. I don't have to see anybody. And then I'm immediately taken back to the airport, right? So when she said, "Where are you coming from?" I said, "I come from New Mexico." She said, "Well, you were in Hollywood." I said, "Yeah, but that doesn't count. I mean, that's just like in and out and stuff, That's not this, where I get to interact with people. But really, I have really gotten to grow. You've grown on me. You've shown me great levity in my infractious comments. Like, I don't know how many times I've said, "Fuck that shit." I don't know how many times I've said that, and I never say that. I can't say it. If my 2 daughters are in the audience, they'll throw a book at me. I mean, they would hit me with a book and say, "I told you not to say that, papi." And I'm like, "I'm trying, honey." But I grew up 25 years in institutions. What am I supposed to say? "Oh, shucks, darn it." I mean, it's hard. But I love Maquita, and I'm going to keep on trying, Because I love Maquita, right? And especially the Raza people, we have a mestizaje, we have a Ginazaros, we're like Indios, European, French, we're Prairie Apache, and we have this passion about speaking and stuff like that, But no, my family doesn't curse. They don't allow me to curse. I cannot curse in the house. It's like smoking. You can't smoke in the house and stuff. So why I started here, I don't know. Maybe it's because I spend so much time alone writing. I'm working on this massive project similar to Yellowstone, this series that people have been trying to buy for 15 years and I won't sell it. And I just keep going back to it because I'm trying to cull the human meaning out of it, out of the characters. What is the human meaning? I don't have much time on this earth. So the work that I do has to be real work. It can't be trendy fashions. It can't be false bravado with movements. It can't be any of that. It has to be the human condition that I'm working with. And I've already won all the awards in America. I got tired of that a long time ago. I'm not into that. And God knows how many times they've called me up and said, "Do you want to be poet laureate of America?" I'm like, on and on. And they're like, "We don't want to play with him. He's dirty." Because I can't. I don't have time for this shit, I would much rather, when my daughter Lucia or Morgan get up in the morning and they say, "Papi," I'd much rather run in there and say, "What, Mita?" And then, "Can you get me my cappuccino?" I'm like, right away, go back, right? Then to be in New York accepting the National Book Award, fuck that shit. My daughter, I want to have memories with her. I want to have those memories because I'm an orphan. I never had memories with the family. I never had a mom and dad. My mom was murdered. My dad died of drunk. I want memories. I want familia. And America hasn't given me that. And I spent the last 45 to 50 years creating family. In all people, white, brown, all kinds of people. I am strong enough to have you all in my familia. And that's the greatest feeling in the world, not to shut you out. And that's what you taught me while I've been here. You taught me something that kicked my ass. I was thinking about that today. I was thinking, I have so much in common with these people. I have so much in common with the way your gestures are, with the way you walk, with your loneliness, with your compassion, with your worry, with your fear, with your need for being acknowledged, for your need to be seen, for your need to have purpose. I have so much in common with you. I'm like, man, I really like these people. So you have been adopted by Baca. it's like, I wasn't counting on it. I was like, no, I'm going to see this lady who has done so much work for the Native Americans in literature. And I have to go see her and tell her, thank you in person. Not through a stupid email. I have to go see her and say, thank you very much for what you've done. But I'm not kidding you, man. She abused it. Instead of treating me with a little bit of love and saying you can have a couple of classes to talk to, look at this shit. I mean, I'm serious. Look at that. All day long I've been visiting you guys, and honest to God, I'm like, this shit's got to stop, Guys, the next class, and if it hasn't been for the great statesmanship of you students, you have dealt with me on my terms and showed you how great you are. I came to you and you accepted and you dealt with this guy. And that just goes to show you really how broad and deep as witness as your spirit is, man. You really are amazing people. I don't know if you know that or not. I'm off to Charlotte next in 3 days to rehearse the musical. Then we go to New York, and then I go to work with the youths in Utah. I'm creating a library there, right? I have for the last 40 years I have a book program, right? I have a lot of different programs. And then we go to the prison, in the most secure prison in the United States, at Pelican Bay in the Shoe, where they keep the hard people. I created a literacy program there, which I've had for like 40 years. And I have almost 20, 30 inmates receiving their Masters of Fine Arts. Can you believe that? These guys have went to college years ago, they're graduating now. I'm going to read you some poems, but here's what I want to say. I got an honorary degree, honorary doctorates. And you rarely get an honorary doctorate in your own state. So I was blown away when they called me up from Santa Fe and said, hey, we're going to give you this thing. And I've gotten them before, right? I've gotten honorary stuff from Yale and Berkeley and stuff like that, right? Stanford honored me by buying all the archives and putting it next to me. And in special collections where people have to fly in and do the doctoral work on their work, right? So I've been honored in a lot of ways, but never in my own city, right? My own hometown. Ex-convict, ex-addict, ex-drunk. Everything you can imagine on that side of the corkboard, that's me. And here this person is, they're going to give me a doctorate degree. And I'm like, this is cool. I don't get all excited about it. But I have my kids with me. I got 5 kids, and they're excited about it. Morgan's a pediatrician now in Miami. She wasn't a doctor yet, but she was becoming one. And she was like holding on to my arm saying, Puppy, I'm so proud of you, Puppy. That brought tears to my eyes. My daughter telling me that. And my dream in prison was one day I'll have a family. And here was my daughter. Saying, I'm so proud of you, man. My little baby girl and my little boy in my arms and my other 2 big boys. They're all like standing proud next to me. It's so beautiful. But the thing that got me was when I got up on stage, it was before 60,000 people. It was at the UNM basketball in Albuquerque. It was a graduation game. And so they had all the professors, about 50 or 75 of them behind me, and had the sashes on and all that stuff, and the hats. And I was like, God, I can't wait till this is over, And then the guy comes up to me, the provost comes up to me, and he says, you see those people up there? And I've had literacy workshops in Albuquerque and Santa Fe for the last 50 years. Never once asked the government for a dime, ever. I paid my interns and I mentored everyone with my own money. Always. Not one line that I fill out with the government. I don't like the government. I don't like the way they treat us on the res. I don't like the way they treat Chicanos in the barrio. I don't like them. And I don't need their money. I can do this, right? I didn't need them when I was in prison. I don't need them when I'm out of prison. End of story. So the guy says, you see all those people up there? And they look different. They didn't look like the graduation parents that were sitting in the middle rows about 1,000 or 2,000. There was all these parents that were well-dressed. You could see that they had kids who graduated and they were really proud of them. These were different people up there. They looked dusty. They looked like they had driven in on old trucks. They looked like they had been working with hands that were really tough and rough and thick and gritty. You could tell they were different. But when he said to me, he said, well, it took us a great deal of time to work through your literacy workshop without even knowing about it, but we were able to get all these people here that over the years you taught to read and write. And that was a low blow, because that left me speechless, because I was illiterate. I taught myself in the cell to read and write myself, with a book going back and forth, walking in the cell, repeating the names, repeating the verb, repeating an adjective, repeating a noun, stuff like that, right? And so when he said to me, those people up there are people, you taught to read and write, they all started screaming and yelling, right? And it left me speechless. I couldn't speak. In fact, I put my head down and I was trying not to cry, because I felt tears rolling up in my eyes, and I was like, don't cry, you idiot, I kept telling myself, don't do this, right? Well, the guy that they were also honoring had discovered a planet. He was from Holland. He was from Holland. And I guess he noticed that I was having a hard time. He comes walking up to me, and he was getting an honorary doctorate because he discovered a planet. And he walks up to me and he goes, Mr. Baca. I said, yes. Now they can read about my discovery. And that was it. I was like, yes. That's why I taught them. I wanted them to read about his discovery, about this planet. And you see how education supersedes all divisions of racial ethnicity and stuff? That was not about a white, black, brown thing. When he said, now they can learn about the planets, education has no color. And yet, let me tell you how dangerous that concept, that notion is. In my culture, when I was in prison, when I was in jail, I got into a fight with somebody, right? And it was the first time ever I had read a book. I stole this book, and I took it upstairs, and I was making coffee. I was tearing pages out. Something caught my eye in the flame. Something caught my eye, and I couldn't tear this page out. Right? Couldn't tear it out. And I couldn't, the guys kept yelling, hey, Santiago, where's the coffee? I'm like, it's coming, it's coming. But I had to put those pages aside. And it took me 3 days to study those pages and phonetically sound out the words. And it was about a guy walking his dog around the pond. And my grandpa did that. And it brought back such beautiful memories to me. I didn't know that language could do that it could trigger memories. And I saw my grandpa walking in my head again. I saw me saying, hey, Grandpa, little Jimmy, running next to his knees, grabbing his big hands. Come on, Grandpa, let's go catch that seed before it gets away. And Grandpa was like, oh, Jimmy, let's stop and eat this apple. I said, okay, Grandpa. I had this whole thing going on in my head because of this page. And it was written by a gangbanger, by a gangster. Because who else would name their son Wordsworth? I mean, when you see homies, you're like, hey, word up, brother? Word up, yeah. Wordsworth, it had to be written by gangsters. Then I found out later it was written by an English romantic poet. What? Poor dude, man. His name Wordsworth? Like, you ain't written nothing but a word. Okay, cool. I'll let it get around my head. The next morning, I hadn't slept all night, and I gave coffee out. And then when I gun sale, they brought back the murderers for retrial. And the murderers for retrial, when they come back to the prison, they think they're specially entitled stuff, you know? And they come up to the bars, and this one guy says, give me like 15 cups of coffee. And he puts styrofoam cups all along the bars. I said, look, dude, look, I got 2 pictures here, man. Let me go all the way upstairs. It's got like 4-story county jail. I was waiting for extradition, right? To a maximum security prison, right? For a shootout. And for selling heroin. And so I'm like, and I said, let me come, I'll come back. I'm only like 17 years old, about to turn 18. This guy's a seasoned killer. And he tells me, I want the coffee now. And I said, no. And he throws it at me. I fill him up a cup and he hits me with it. And no matter what institution you're in, guards are not to intervene. So I told the guard, here's my pitchers of coffee. He opens the gate, lets the guy out, and then locks him. And I could fight. I could handle myself with anybody, anywhere. But this was different. There was something so different about my fighting this guy because I was afraid he was going to hit my eyes. And I wouldn't be able to go up and finish the story, the essay, about the language for the common folk. And I needed to finish that story, and I couldn't let him hit me in the eye. That consequently led me to believe that I was a coward. I thought I related reading to cowardice. If you read, you become a coward. If you read, you become a punk. Books are no good. So I went upstairs and threw the book away. Couldn't get it out of my head. Could not get it out of my head. But I also couldn't understand it very well. So my sister came to visit me before I was being extradited away. I'm going to go serve 10 to 50 years, right? She came, she's in the visiting area, and I said to her, oye, Martina, mira, ¿me puedes traer un librecito? Un diccionario, por favor. Y me miró así and me dijo, she looked at me and she said, I like to speak Spanish better, but she looked at me and she said, do you want heroin? I said, no. Bring me a book, a dictionary. She said, you want cocaine? I said, no. I was talking forward, right? Well, she said, do you want me to bring you in a knife, fillet, they call it, shank, right? Should I bring you in one of those? I said, no, mira, I need a real book, a dictionary. And she never does, in a million years, she never heard me say that. Tráeme un libro, un diccionario, bring me a book. And her face went, wow, no. Can you believe she was more terrified of a bookstore than going to a major dealer's house to pick up shit for me? That's how we thought of education and what the system did to us. We were terrified of books because they said things to us and put us away. They took our food away. Books called us dirty Mexicans. Books disrespected us. Books lied about our history. Books never told about all the lynchings that they did to the Central Americans when they came north. They never talked about the rapes and the murders. All of these things that they lied about, that you couldn't trust us, that we were lazy. And my sister showed horror on her face when she said, no, I'm not going to the bookstore for you or anybody else. And I understood her. So that night, when I got my doctorate's degree, and the guy said, they can read about my discovery now, you have no idea how happy I was that I could look up there and know that they were not afraid to go in bookstores. And that's how I've done all my life. That's how I've impacted the system all my life. That's what I've done. Isn't that cool? To have that kind of life? So when you look at me and say, oh, no parents, prisons, orphanages, boarding schools, detention centers, gladiator schools, county jails, dude, I am so grateful for my life. You have no idea. And then I end up here in Marshall. I know it's hard, right? For a second. I had a gap. And then I opened up my first statement 2 days ago. However long, it seemed like I've been here a week. I was thinking about that, and I was talking to my wife while ago, and I said, they're fucking cool here, man. These people are kick ass. And she says, well, include them in your speeches at the other 10 universities you're going to. And I'm going to. I'm going to go in and say, you know what, I hate you people. You're punks and bringing the Marshall people. I'm going to read this. Look, I did something special for you, okay? I know, it's silly as shit, but it works. That's what life is all about. It's so stupid. You know, how things turn out, and it's beautiful in a stupid way. I mean, it just makes you happy you're alive. Because none of this was planned. No one could have predicted that you were going to be as cool as you are. No one could have predicted that shit. You know? All those mornings cooking oatmeal and shit. You know? Maybe you remind me of me. But listen, whatever I did, there's not enough of all of you. I guarantee there's not enough. But you know what? New York publisher bought the East Side poems and the Lucia poems. They came in, they wanted to buy them, right? They want to buy the rights to them, right? So I said no. I'm going to keep the hard copies. You can have the Kindle edition. So they bought the Kindle edition. It's a big publishing company in New York now sells the Lucia and the East Side poems on Kindle, right? And they sell it for a lot of money, right? And it's only one of a kind publishing ever. Okay? I only have like 8 copies of each book, but they're like major collector's books, right? And they're like $60, $70, maybe more. But I have 7 or 8 of each copy for $10 for you. So I don't know who's going to get them, but here's the East Side poems, and the cover's by the famous painter James Drake. That's actually James Drake. He's a world-renowned painter. The guy's crazy badass. His paintings sold for $5 million. He's a Santa Fe painter. Really cool friend of mine. That's him. And then this one here, this is my little baby Lucia. These are called Lucia poems. I'm going to read the piece, right? So if you want to, they're already all bought. So it's not a question of me having to sell them. I thought if I could give them to you for $10 a piece, you could put them away somewhere. And if you ever want to go buy a pound of good weed one day, take the book down to the library and say, hey, can you assess this and give me some money? I need enough to buy some really good Colombian shit. Okay, then I'm going to read from this one. This one was published by Beacon Press in Boston, right? The same place that publishes James Baldwin and most people, right? And this is about my attempt at writing about a mother. They took her kid away from her. Okay? So let me read you a little bit from this one first, and then this one and this one. Then we'll end. Okay? It's really hard to get my books. The bookstore tried, but it's good that people are buying my work, you know. But it's very funny. It's very strange. I've tried really hard not to be famous, and I've had a great life. What does that mean to you? You know? I mean, there was a time in Hollywood when I was doing an 8-ball of coke every night for 2 years, every single night, until I was sitting at a table with Oliver Stone and the Bergman brothers, powerful producers, and they were offering me Scarface too. And I said, okay. I got up. I've been in Hollywood for a few years. Bought a house, lived there, right? I got up and said, I got to use the bathroom. And this is how God works. It's so bizarre. I'm not even a believer in God. I'm a believer in Creator, not the God that you believe in. I got up and said, I got to use the bathroom. I left the room. And as I was walking, I had these 2 guys walking down the hall. And they were producers. They had beautiful suits on, gorgeous Rolexes and stuff. And I passed them and didn't go to the bathroom. And then I went downstairs and got in my vehicle and left. And I just kept driving past Los Angeles. And then my agent called me and said, what the hell have you done? I said, I don't know what I've done. I got no clue. He says, dude, what the hell have you done? You have burned your career in this town. You have done something that you could never get away with. Why, Jimmy? Why? I said, I don't know, dude, Frank, I don't know why I do this shit. I knew why I was having a breakdown, a major breakdown. So I leave Hollywood, I leave the deal on the table. I don't know why I'm doing this shit. I don't know, I'm numb. I get to my house. I pull up to the back driveway. You know, I have a farm with horses and orchards and a cooler, right? I pull up, I go to my door, and my wife answers the door. My first wife, I thought. My first wife answers the door, and she says, I heard what happened. Did you bring the contract? I said, no. Did you bring any money? I said, no. And then I went in, and she said, stop. I want you out of here now. And I want a divorce in the morning. I was like, holy shit, what? Wait, what? She says, I want you out of here. I want you gone. And I could see my two boys behind Mama looking at me. I was like, don't worry about it, guys. It's cool. But it wasn't cool. I thought I could prepare it, but I couldn't. So I said, look, let's go out and have a big dinner. So the kids were like, Mom, go have a dinner. What dinner? So we got in the car and we left. And as we were driving, I turned to her and I said to her, you know what? Since you already got over my ass for not signing the contract and for whatever, I gotta tell you, man, I went out with different actresses every week for the last 3 years. And she looked at me. She pulled up the car to a stop and told me, get out and never, ever show up again. I still had on my suit from the meeting. So I get out of the car, and she drives off, and the two kids are looking at me like this, and they're like, well, don't worry, I'm gesturing, like, don't worry, it's all good. And I look around and find out, where do I go? And there's a big, huge sign in the middle of the sky that says Walmart. And it's like God talking to me, you know, it's like, come to me, my child. And here comes the pilgrim. And the area that I was in was hardcore barrio. Not bullshit. These guys that jump your ass and take you, man. So I go in front of the Walmart. I don't know what they're doing. I got my hands in my pocket. I've got a couple of bucks, but not much. I don't have anything really. And these guys come up to me. They're hardcore gangsters, but I look on heroin, and they use slang. Oye, carnalito, no tienes una liana para los pasotes. That's our slang for, do you have anything that I might use, like heroin, like money, so I can get me something to get, so I don't get sick? And I said, yeah, here, you know. Gave one to him, and another guy came up, and I said, yeah, here's this. And I decided, well, I gotta get out of here, you know. I can't stand here because I don't have any money. But I got a really nice suit on. I got some nice shoes from Venezuela. I think the shoes were $3,000 or something, right? And I got a nice watch on and shit, right? I have Rolex. So I'm like, well, you know what? So I turn around just on this thing, I gotta get out of here, and I start walking. And the area that I was in had no sidewalks, no street lights, just dirt roads. So soon I found myself walking down a dirt road with no lights, real rural, just walking. And then in the distance, in the darkness, backyards, the big floodlights, you could have people butchering goats. You could hear Mexican music, you could hear cowboy music, you could hear kids saying, mama, mama, you could hear kids playing and fathers like, oh yeah, drive me with the rest, bring me another beer, whatever, right? You could hear all this stuff in the dark, in the distance, right? And I just kept walking down this dirt road, and then all of a sudden, the earth started trembling. Boom! Boom! And I looked, way down at the distance, there came a car, really slow. It was a lowrider. He was bouncing, and he was playing like really serious rap shit, you know? And I'm standing there in this suit, and at the same time I realized, this is the road. When I was in the boarding school, when I was in the orphanage, they were across the street. You could walk literally from a little tiny bridge that we shared. But this is the road that I ran away from every day and got beat by the nuns. This is the road that I would take to grandma's. And my heart jumped for joy. I said, this is the little Jimmy, little tiny Jimmy, 7, 6, 8, 9 years old, would run away, man, to go to his grandma, to get to his grandma. No one's stopping me from getting there. No one's going to keep me from her. And then all of a sudden I stopped. And it hit me. Grandma's dead. She ain't there. And I started crying. In the middle of the night, a day after I was in Hollywood, I'm sitting on a rope, standing on a rope, and I'm crying. And just when I'm crying, the heart reaches me, and somebody yells in Spanish, "Quit crying, you little bitch." I know. I wanted to laugh, like, ah! "Quit crying, you little bitch." And then a bottle hit me of beer. And then I turned, and another bottle of beer hit me. Right? And then it went like, boom, boom, boom. "You better quit crying, you little sissy-ass bitch." And they were throwing bottles at me. And I just started crying, and I was looking at that. They don't know that I wrote the greatest movie of their lives for them. They don't know that I wrote Blood and Blood Out, which has over 400 million followers today. And Congress made it an American movie in Congress to put it into the thing. And that 6 months ago, they celebrated it in 30 countries. It's like crazy. I don't understand it, right? But I didn't know that popular. Belgium closed the city down for the weekend to celebrate Blood and Blood Out. I've heard of that, right? All the restaurants, cafes, all that stuff, right? Everywhere you go to every city that's selling cups, they even got my face on a cigarette marijuana joint they smoke. They have my face. I came out on The Simpsons. I mean, and a lot of other, they came out with me on a lot of other things too on TV. I don't watch TV, but I read that. So they didn't know that. I'm okay with that. I'm like, yeah, they didn't know. So I didn't know. That's what we're going to do. So I go back to Walmart. I call up a friend of mine, a famous actor that you all know, by name. I said, I need money. I'm broke. And he said, I heard. What happened? I said, I don't know what happened. I think I just had a nervous breakdown. I don't know. I think I had a nervous breakdown. I think I have one. So he says, okay. He said, got me some money, right? I went to the loser's apartment called the 909s and got a room. Went up to the second floor, got into my room, and it's just the carpet. No dishes, no spoons, nothing. And I just laid on the carpet and went to sleep. Next thing I know, the door, somebody knocks. I get up and answer it, and it's my two sons. It's like, they're like, we're here to stay with you, Poppy. Isn't that cool? And I said, you guys can't stay here. I don't have anything to sleep in. They said, that's cool. They said, you got a swimming pool? And I said, oh yeah, that we do have. Right. So that night, I slept with each of my sons on each of one of my arms. And I went to sleep with my two boys on each arm. And the next morning they got up and they went out to the pool and had the greatest time of their life. Now, I had to decide, what am I going to do? I had to buy a table and I had to buy a typewriter with some of the money I had. So I bought a table and I bought a typewriter. And I didn't know what to do with myself. So I decided to start writing a book. That book went on to sell over 1 million copies and win the International Prize in Frankfurt, Germany, as the first Latino ever to win that category in the International Fair. And it won the International Prize with a huge amount of money. Only because when I sat down, I said, what do I write? And my heart said, write the truth about your life. I didn't blame anybody. I didn't accuse anybody. I didn't judge anybody. I just sat down and said, you know what? At 5 years old, I went to jail. I walked in jail and saw my dad drunk in the trunk bank, and I started screaming and yelling, let my puppy out. That was my first line. And since then, it's been made into 2 movies, and it's selling like crazy still. Isn't that weird? That I leave Hollywood, and I stayed in that office, I would have never been able to write that book. And that book has been the greatest thing. When that book was published in 1990, it sold like crazy. It still sells like crazy. One of the most quoted books in the United States. Dude, my two kids were only 16. I bought them brand new cars and said, here, go show up at school in a nice brand new Mustang. But Poppy, I'm only 14. That's cool, bro. So listen, that goes to say, no matter what you do in this school, follow your heart. If you think you're leaving something behind, like I did in Hollywood, if you think you've been crushed the way my wife crushed me, man, she put the hit on me. I didn't have anything. The farm was paid off for. It's worth over $1 million. She kept every single thing, my belt, my underwear. She says, you're going to be famous one day. I said, but honey, my underwear? She's like, you can't have nothing. I'm like, cool, keep it, you know? So I went on. I didn't sit there and mealy mouth and whine about, hey, you know, you're treating me like shit. No. I said, okay, got to find me an apartment now, right? So I went walking. And when I went walking in the face of mockery, people, I was humiliated. People used me as, you see him? He had it made. He's nothing but a fucking loser now. Look at him walking on the sidewalk. And that was me walking on the sidewalk. Look at this dude. He's a piece of shit now. And I saw them pointing at me. And I saw them use me as an example of what not to be. And yet, I went to my apartment, went upstairs to the second floor, and kept writing that book. And it was a great, I wanted to write it so bad for so many years that I finally had the balls and the courage to leave Hollywood and sit down and write the damn thing. I could not believe when I was in Jersey in a car in traffic jam with gridlock, I get a call from one, like a publisher at Girl Atlantic. Hey, dude, you just won the biggest award in Europe. I'm like, what? You just won the biggest award in Europe, dude. Wow, you cannot believe how incredible my life has been, filled with coincidences when I wasn't afraid to leave something that I knew wasn't for me. Hollywood wasn't for me. They said, you're never, ever coming back. You will never, ever show up in this town. You're never going to work here. I'm like happier than shit working there. I mean, yeah, little Mexican Jimmy's just like at the bathroom door, man. It's like, what's up? I'm there, and it's happy. And it's on my terms. I don't have to do shit. I came back and I said, I want to do this, and they're going to let me do it. Yellowstone. They even offered me a rewrite on Yellowstone. I'm like, nah, I can write better than shit. When I really can't, because Taylor Sheridan is one of the great writers of all time. The writer and the producer of Yellowstone, he's one of the greats. You know, he's so cool. The guy is really just awesome. Okay, let me read some of this. This is about a woman. I wanted to write about this woman having her kid taken away. So I'll read you some of this, and it's really, really a happy ending. I'm not going to read the whole damn thing, but I'll read a little bit. And it's about this woman. And she says, they take her and they put her into a holding camp. And they take her kid, and her kid ultimately is vanished in traffic. We have like 30,000 kids that are missing still from that time. And they're finding them at dude ranches who've been trafficked, these kids, right? So I wrote this, and I'll read you a little bit about her name is, they put her in, okay, she gets to the place, to the American border, okay? And she's with her baby still. In El Paso, Texas, I plead for asylum. They bus me to the Otero County Processing Center, Immigration Detention Center in Otero County, New Mexico. And ICE authorities take my baby Joaquin and I'm placed in the cell. And the two ICE officials raped me that same night. I can still see their glossy badges and pistols and leather belts shimmering under the fluorescent lights. The sweat and the flickering spit in my face that sprinkles my cheek and forehead, the veins pulsing their necks, reddened faces, and all I do is close my eyes and remember my bonita. I remember the grunts and the squeals like stones and dirt witnessed, and the stones that were there asked me, and the stones take me, and the stones tell me, lay on us, we will absorb your sadness. I close my eyes, vowing never to become a prison company whore for favors like cokes and chips and cigarettes. I close my eyes and I see my husband Donald murdered by the gangs, hoovering in the air around me. She's bleeding, one of the ICE officers say to his partner on top of me, who replies, what's he gonna do, call 911, dude? And he laughs and he says, let the bitch die. Donald and Joaquin, bright eyes, I see them now, they grow above me. They grow with blinding sunshine over me. They're burning away the smell and the touch and the laughter of these guards. They're burning away the gunshots that killed Donald in the street that night on his way back from work, that still shudder my dreams with snarls and scare me. They burn away the gangs and the clubs and the bombs and the body parts strewn in the streets of El Salvador, the paramilitary death squads that scare me. They're burning away my husband's face and my baby boy's face. They're burning away patriotism's blood hunger that devours and maims and silences Salvador's children. A democracy that is not kind but stalks us and roams the dark land of our sorrow, smothered in the flames of our loved ones. The stones in the dirt witness. The stones keep asking. The stones ask. The stones take. The stones tell me, lay on us. We will absorb your sadness. Ah, Donald and Joaquin's eyes still shine like the sun on me, as if to say, Mama, did you know that the word for challenge really means healing? Did you know that? And then I looked up in the air and they conveyed, looking into my brown eyes, all of us who journeyed undocumented from cosmic regions, sunlit regions of the universe as spirits. We came into earthlings with hands and mouths and lips and breasts and ears and toes and hips, as little infants who first sprawled and cried for mother's breast. Like all of us, once a child, filled with questions. Mother, what is that? It was my little Juanito, his first sensual exploration into the world. And I could see the spark light in his heart and his brimming seeds of his originousness light up in his words. What is that, Mama? And I said, oh, mijito, that's a chili pepper. And in the bell tower, he yelled out, what's that? And I said, that's a pigeon. And then he held up dirt between his fingers, and I said, that's sandbox soil. And then, feeling my lips on his cheek as I kissed him, I say, kiss, un besito. And when he kisses me back, I ask, what's that? And he says, love, Mama. And now they have Joaquin caged somewhere. And I listen to the rumors from the other women in the dorm. They're selling our children. They're selling them to sex traffickers. They use them for child forced labor. They're selling them to the wealthy people. In San Salvador, the night of the shooting, when they killed my husband, I pleaded with la policía, please call an ambulance, please. Pero me respondió, ¿para qué gastar tiempo y ustedes son animales? Why waste money if they're just animals? And that morning after the shooting, the September lawns and the bare trees studied the crime scene to understand what imbues the dawn with such sorrow, darkening it with the feeling that it is harder to have hope now, that the violence won't end. Me voy al norte. Joaquin beside me. I say, I'm going north like my husband told me. We walk for weeks through the foothills where my heart flares its nostrils, puffing its cacti. 100-year-old cedar rooted in the desert granite crevices counsels me. The stones and the dirt will witness your journey. The stones ask, the stones take, the stones tell. Lay on us, Juanita. We will absorb your sadness. And I had an overwhelming need to sit on the boulder and just cry for my husband, for me, for my baby Juanito Joaquin. So many children in San Salvador lining cemetery rows, so many funerals. I held my husband's head in my lap as he was dying. I breathed on his face. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay, mi marido. His face under the streetlight was smooth as a jade plant, and my voice was like wind chimes blowing in the wind. And then Donald my husband, came again to me last night. And fragments of the dream. Me in the garden planting chili, him cutting and nailing boards for the porch and for the herbs, Joaquin jumping on the trampoline, all of their faces illuminated right out of my dream. I could see them like an asteroid that flew through space in my sleep. I could smell the warm tortillas that nourished us. And then I dream of Joaquin, my baby. And all of a sudden the dream breaks into bits and pieces. And I'm in the woods, at the sea, on top of a mountain, opening my arms to embrace all of them when the growl of a jaguar comes out. And then they fly toward me from outer space as if I'm the center of something, of their destination, as if I'm their homeland. Shattered now to have to create a new life again. And then at night, while the women in the dormitory crowd around the radio to hear the news of their disappeared children, they surf the stations with hosts on the radio accusing the refugees of carrying disease, infections, of being terrorists and drug addicts. Young ones, 14, 15, 16-year-old girls. I see them come in and they're drugged by the doctors working for ICE. And then they're taken out the back way to drink and party, and they return at dawn with new shoes and blouses and bracelets. At the prison fence this morning, I stand and I feed a roadrunner. The only desert bird who taunts the rabbit. It lures it forth, it expands its wings, idles inches from the snake as the snake wood lunges at it. The roadrunner fakes in, skips back from the venomous fangs. It hops and then it snatches the snake by its beak, smashes its head against the stone and swallows it. And I think, wow, the sleek gray shield of feathers, the black spots and the white edgings of the roadrunner, swoops in a single blink of an eye on the brick walls above me. I see it go over the voice across the patrol path, agile as a supersized hummingbird. I toss cooking pot scraps and dinner greens on the grass, and he comes near me, tame as any yard dog, and eats. I pray for the roadrunner to check on my 4-year-old Joaquin. I tell the roadrunner, please protect my baby. Please protect him from the snakes. Now classified a criminal by the United States, guard him against the snakes. And then I tell the stones, he's just a preschool child. He once racketed hallways clacking his skates in his cubby. He hung his rain slicker on the wooden pegs. He stepped in the rain puddles with his galoshes. He grew wings at recess when the bell rang. He scudded his desk back, anxious to fly over the playground and go on the merry-go-round like a Quetzalbird in the rainforest. And then he was so happy, his heart felt like door hinges, grimacing with the coming and going of so much happiness to him. As he raced his little friends to hopscotch into the shed or the soccer field on the courts, he dangled on monkey bars and he yelped down the dented slides. And at the fence on another morning, I am startled and I shriek and I cry out. And other women from the dorm rush out and ask me, ¿Qué te pasa, Maria? What is wrong with you? What happened? As if I had been broken or a bone been shot. But instead what happened was a hawk. A hawk landed on the fence bar, perched a few feet from my face, and studied me. It was like a moment in eternity. It had no beginning and no end. It was an infinite meeting of the hawk and me, two travelers. And in the hawk's eyes, I could see all it had seen. The deserts and the forests and the seas and the fields and the cliffs. And because when I was a child, I lived in the rainforest and bathed myself in mud pits used by the Huichol ancestors. Plastering mud on my little girl body, the hawk knew me as it knows a tree or the air beneath its wings. And the hawk gave me in that moment, when I could see everything it had been done over, it gave me all the lands it had soared over, leaving me a feather that fell from its wing. A feather. It had brushed against the sun, and when I picked it up, I could still smell the sun on it. Isn't that cool? Because she goes in as a mother. She just goes in as a mom, and and it's so cool because she goes in as a mom, but she gets really, really strong and powerful, right? And when she leaves the prison, oh my gosh, she's like unstoppable. You will never stop her from looking for her kid. And it's funny because the guy who comes to pick her up, there's no plan. It was like, I don't know what Trump idea was, but there's just no plan. They said, all these people on told them, let them go wherever they want to go. And it's a true story. And so this old guy couldn't find the van in the parking lot because he was 90. He's sort of walking around saying, where the hell is that van, you know? And she was helping him, well, what does it look like? So she found the van, and then they got in the van, her and another woman. And she said, where are we going? The guy said, I don't know. I'm supposed to drop you off in Denver at touchdown. And the two guys were like, well, I mean, where? He said, I don't know. They just said dump you off at the bus stop. So he gets to the bus stop, and she calls a prima, a cousin of hers, who's working as a maid at the University of Virginia, in Blacksburg. And the lady says, come here, and we'll hire you. So she goes from Denver to her cousin, and she's now working at the university. And every day she writes a letter to her baby saying, I have not forgotten, I'm using money, I'm saving it, I'm going to find you. Hold on, my dear, hold on, baby. So it ends with that beautiful, beautiful hope of her writing letters that she never sends. Just hold on, my son, I'm coming, you know? Pretty cool, right? And I really dug writing. You know what it started out with? It started with, I hired refugees to work on the farm, and I pay them $45 an hour. I pay them really good. And I give them food, a place to stay, and clothing and everything. And they're good workers, they're amazing. I'm going to tell you something. I'll read you two more poems. I build the cabins myself, right? I have like a resort that I built, and you can stay there for free if you're a young writer and stuff like that. But when we dug a trench about 4 feet deep with a massive backhoe, this is deep, deep mountains north of Santa Fe. And there were some rocks we couldn't pick up exactly, so we had to get in there and pick them up like this, right? And I stuck with the dude, man. I'm not going to be a wimp, right? I'm 71 years old. I can get in the trench, I can rip off all the freaking here. Right? So I did. I'm down there, like, boom, boom. And like, Santiago, why don't you get people around? I said, every single rock here is a poem I sold, dude. What the hell? This is nice. I really dug picking up those rocks, right? But at the end of that day, I couldn't move. I couldn't move. I was like, ah, shit, you know. And this one refugee guy, he would dress in a toga. Little tiny guy, he was the strongest man I've ever met in my life. He came out barefoot. He wouldn't wear shoes. He came out barefoot. He walked into the main cabin, right? And I'm lying on the floor and I'm hurting so bad. And I'm like, oh shit, dude, I can't move. He didn't speak English. So he goes up, he goes like this. He walks up to me, he goes, he's got toga on, so, you know, I don't think the toga, I don't know if you're wearing underwear now, but he made me a little nervous, you know? Because I'm not gay. I never think that's gay people, but I'm not gay. But when he said, you know, feet, I thought, oh, he's putting a move on me, you know? And I'm an ex-cop. And I'm going to tell him, dude, I don't go that way. But he got it and smiled and said, no, turn over. And I trusted him. I said, okay. And I turned to a plum. I said, oh, you're shit. I stabbed a lot of people in prison because of this shit, so I don't know. I don't know, man. So I go turn over on my belly, right? check this shit out. He started kissing my, no, I kidding. Yo, wait for that one, huh? No, what he did was this is amazing. The dude got on top of my back, and he was barefooted, and his toes started doing stuff against my spine. I'm serious shit. No, it's serious. His toes started working on my spine, and I swear to you, on my children, that every pain in my back left. And I was laying like this thinking, holy shit, what's he doing? His fingers, his toes were going inside the spinal cord into the bones and doing all kind of, and I swear to God, I was like, dude, where the hell did you learn that? And I have a farm near Santa Fe. In Santa Fe, where all the billionaires, Spielberg, everybody, all the billionaires live there, right? They're all filthy rich. And I turned around and I told him, dude, do you realize how much money you can make doing this shit? And he's like, he doesn't want to do it for other people. And then I said, where'd you learn this? What is it? And he says that he lived with his family. He had a mentally ill daughter, and then he had like 3 or 4 other kids. He lived in a refugee camp in Thailand, on the border of Cambodia and Thailand. He lived in a refugee camp for 15 years. And they would have starved had he not figured out some way of living. And so he went 10 for 10, and he became one of the greatest masseuses in the refugee camp of 150,000 people. He was the guy. And I said, dude, what a crazy, beautiful story. And he said, oh yeah, I would go take people's pain away, you know. And I said, dude, how did you do this, man? I have no pain. And he was just laughing, smiling. You got rice? I said, I'll make you the best rice you ever had, dude. So yeah, so that it was about him. And in the writing of the book, it turned into a woman. Okay, so let me read you one poem from here. This is my little Lucia. I love her to death. This is my girl. Let me read you one. Okay, you know what? This is funny. This is really funny. I was going to read the first one. I got invited to read for Obama during the inauguration, but they couldn't invite me for the big one because I'm an ex-convict. They wouldn't let me for Obama. But he said, can you come to the dinner and read for my daughters? I said, yeah, no problem. So I had to come up with a poem. I ain't got a poem. But, you know, I figured I could, the plane from Albuquerque to D.C. is long enough, I could probably figure out a poem, right? So I was going to write the poem to Obama there, and then go to the dinner after the inauguration where him and his wife and his daughters are going to be there. I could bring on me to read for them. I thought that was kind of cool, right? And all the senators were there. They had all the senators. Everybody was drinking, all the congressmen. It's a big deal, right? So I'm on the plane, and this is the poem I wrote. And it's all these poems are for the sea. I'm writing a good point. I'm on a plane at night, and a 60-year-old black man next to me, despite suffering terrible coughing spasms, wiping fever sweat from his forehead with a blue handkerchief, fits of coughing rack him, tells me some of his life story. He's from LA, divorced, used to box, been working the same job on the docks for 40 years, proud that he is, and his daughter in D.C. and him are attending the presidential swearing in. I smile and go back to my writing. He looks at me with wet, bulbous eyes, clears his throat, lungs wet and wheezing, repeats he's going to D.C. to witness the greatest happening in history, the Obama presidential inauguration. What you writing, he asks, and I tell him. I've been invited to read a poem at the Native American Museum for a private dinner. The Obamas are attending. I go back to writing. I have to finish the poem. I only started when I boarded in Albuquerque. Big mule eyelashes blink, and he clears his throat and says, say what? I tell him I'm writing a poem to read for Obama tomorrow night. Say what? And then he rises and hollers, for everyone to hear. And then a lady to my left asked for a photograph with her, and I obliged. So to please my fellow passengers, I rise, and for the next hour, I place my hand around these fulsome waists of dozens of beautiful middle-aged black women and take photos. And there goes the poem. As the cameras click and time flies and we land, I got no poem. And in the cab, I think about you, Lucia, little baby girl, and then at the hotel I write this poem for you, not a poem. Your ancestors, Lucia, wrote on rocks, read the dreams of mountain cliff winds, wore rainbows and bracelets made of dew. You, Lucia, are a descendant of those who we called rain, and it listened, who spoke with sun, and it answered, who felt the emotions of wild grass unfold in the green and sprout in summer warmth. Be blessed by your elders, my sweet, sweet Lucia, as you join the circle of life, my president. The joke was when Obama said, "Where's Mr. Baca?" You know, and they couldn't get me to read because it's not good to have an ex-con. That's just won't work, you know. But I was there. I went, and I had to tell him, "I got the poem." He said, "What happened? Can't you read something the way everybody else reads? You know, everybody reads on a paper." I said, "I can't do that. I'm old school. I gotta have a paper. I gotta have my poem." He said, "Well, I could read you a poem without a paper." Like Russell Sims on Def Jam, you know, on HBO. Every kid that comes up on stage goes up there without a page. And they can recite poems for like 10 minutes. I'm amazed by their memory capacity, you know. But then here I come, right? I was on Russell Banks in New York when I was living there. I'd go on the HBO show. I'd go out, and all the black dudes got really, they tripped on me. Like, "Look at that dude, man. He's got a piece of paper." And I was like, "Yeah, no shit." It was funny, right? It was like I was like dark age shit, man. I carried a piece of poetry. Okay, here's one on my son East Side. Oh, this is cool. Here's a cool one. This is to my little baby. Isai's 20 years old now, and Lucia's 16. It's so cool to read these things that I wrote when we were babies. This is for Isai. It's not enough that you have two eyes to see with, because they will deceive you with manipulated images. Two legs to walk on are not enough, because they will try to make you march in the military and occupy a country and invade its streets. They will try to tell you, if you dissent, if you disagree, if you know the lie is a lie and you confront the liar, that you're unpatriotic, and accuse you even of being anti-American, even though you've been here for 30,000 years. It's not enough that your hands can touch and feel mine, can grab and hold and pick up your toys. When they try to persuade you to hold a rifle against a brother or a sister in another country, you must teach yourself. You must use them instead to embrace your brother and sister, to hold them. It's not enough to have a splendid education and use your ideas to protest nuclear bombs. Despite the scientists at Los Alamos manufacturing new ways of killing, it's not enough to love. You must fight them for your freedom. You have to fight them for your integrity. You have to know your voice is to express truth. Know that sincere words are like trout floating upstream to the birth waters of your own being. I don't have time to take on politicians every time they lie, every time they connive or take or destroy or steal. I don't have time to stop work. I don't have time to go down to the courthouse, to the police station, to the nuclear waste site to protest. And they know this. Built into every work contract should be a clause allowing workers to protest when needed. How can we organize if they do the dirty work when we're working to feed our families? And that's why, Isai, and your brothers Tone B and Gabe, that's why I buried 3 cans with money in the backyard. Big tin can inheritance. Should you ever believe in something so much that you've got to leave work and get fired? So much to engage your activism full force that you got to fight for what you believe in so much that you have to just leave and go out into the streets and march. Know that you can afford to get fired. You can afford to leave work. You can afford to pick up a protest placard and march in the streets with lunches packed and bottles full of water, and always, my son, always, money in the tin can. You know what's funny too? Everybody in your family has some sort of rumored legend that Grandpa hid money under the porch. Well, I live by the rock. So I haven't told my kids yet. They don't know because they've been looking for that money since they could walk. And they ain't no money. Don't tell them that shit. I want them to keep on digging out there, you know. They actually have a trust, so they're coming. I got them covered. I just didn't put the money in the tin can. That's poetic license. We have time for, you have a question? Anybody? If not, I signed some books. I got 8 books I can sign as well. 10 bucks a pop. $1 American dollar, that shit's gone down in value, only pesos. The next thing you have you seen it shot up? It's like, now we're like overtaking the block, you know? So so yeah, that's, I know. It's very cool that you can laugh and smile and stuff because so often education comes with the Grim Reaper kind of. You know what I'm saying? So when did education make people so terrified and grim looking? Don't you want to be in a class where people actually laugh and shit? I mean, they smile, you know? I used to visit my daughter's classes when she was a medical student, and even the doctor, man, dealing with all that blood and shit, they were all in there smiling, cracking jokes about people's bodies and shit, you know? You'd be like, that's not bothering you, honey? You'd be like, no, I think it was funny about that penis guy. I said, I don't think that's funny, you know? Because, you know, I'm getting to that age, you know? I'm going to be at the hospital soon, you know? You know what I'm saying? He's not thinking about stuff like that, you know? But when I get to the hospital, they ask me to take off my clothes and I put it like this. That thing over my body so that nobody looks at me. And they don't do that now, so they don't even care. They go by and there's a guy, ah! You know? And the first thing that pops in our head is, that dude's naked, man. That's not cool, you know? Give me some dignity here, right? Anyway, so listen, do you have a question? Yes.
I got 2 questions. How long has it been since you've been incarcerated?
25, 26, 27, 28 years?
28 years.
Something like that.
And how long since you had been incarcerated a lot of your life did it take you to finally realize that like, things that you were doing just that you needed to change?
Dang, that's all right. That's a question. People are so funny, man. It's like Johnny Cash has a song, God, it's so beautiful, it's called Hurt. One of the most beautiful songs ever. And for 40 years, I hurt myself every single day because of my notoriety. I was famous enough that all these major drug dealers gave me all the coke I wanted pure. So it wasn't a day gone by that I didn't do coke. Purísima, la coca purísima. It was pure. I did it every day. I did it when I was in front of you talking now. I did that at the best universities, Yale, Harvard, everywhere, Georgetown, all of them. I'd go in front of conferences with 10,000 people, be high as a kite, and then I would talk against taking drugs. That's some heavy shit. When you can hit me, when you're such a hypocrite to that degree, I couldn't look in the mirror for 25 years. I was such a hypocrite, dude. I couldn't do it. I kept hurting myself because I needed to self-medicate, Because I didn't know how to understand the damage that had been done to me 25 years being locked up. From the age of 5 to the age of 30, America kept me locked up for the only reason that I didn't have parents. It started with an orphan. And then they said, we're not letting you go. And I was like, wow, damn, let me out of here. You ain't got no parents. I'm like, okay, well, we're going to go that way, right? Yeah, we're going to go that way. So it took me 25 years to take myself serious. And I was high as a kite when I won all the awards. When I won all the nationals, the Americans, all the Larry Awards, won them all. And I had the best movie of the year. Forget about it. Broke all the records, everything, right? High as a kite. Stoned out of my mind. Hunter Thompson. About 5 times worse. And it was bad. It was really bad for me. And then something happened to me, Something happened to me. I didn't know how to do anything. I didn't know how to get out of it. There was too much pain and I just couldn't get out of it. And then it was my kids. They looked at me, each of my kids looked at me and they said to me straight in my face, they were like, when are you going to quit pretending to be a father, dude? And be a father? That hurt me, man, more than anything in the world hurt me. When are you going to stop pretending, asshole? When are you going to stop pretending that you're not high because we know you're fucking high? And you come home and you act like you're not. You're just a fucking pretender. God damn, that hurt me, man. I was like, shit. My own daughter called me on it, And tears in her eyes. And just a little bitty girl. And she looked at me and said, Poppy, when are you going to stop pretending? And that was it, dude. That was it. I stopped right there. And it was touch and go. But you have no idea how beautiful it is to come home and kids love me. They look in my face and I'm not high. You have no idea. That's worth more to me than all the gold, That my kids are coming in, hey, what's up, Poppy? And she's on her way out with her boyfriend and my other boys coming in like, what's going on, Pops? And I'm not high. That is so cool, man. You don't even know what that is for a guy like me. That's like I'm back to being little Jimmy again. I'm back to being me. I've been gone a long time, dude. And I've been writing stuff high, but I'm back now. I'm me. And I am so fucking beautiful. I'm at the airport the other day, people think they're all like going away from me because I'm like, David, I'm beautiful. I'm kidding. I'm kidding you guys, right? It's a joke. I don't do that shit, right? So you see me at the airport waiting like, no, it took me a long time to love myself. For 25 years, I was stomped on and told how much I was hated, how horrible I was. I didn't leave. It took me a long time. That's how come all of you kids here, I don't get you, man. I don't get how you deal with your wounds, how you do it. I don't get how you deal with yourself. How do you deal with yourself? Because I'm in awe of you. How do you sit here tonight? I mean, you're like amazing. If I was your age, I'd be at a bar doing an 8-ball coke, playing pool, trying to pick up a check. I wouldn't be here. This is the shit that's real. This is what makes your life real. This is what's going to make tomorrow morning look good, and you're going to have an actual good shot at making a good life for yourself. This is it. What you're doing is right. This is the stuff. This is the goal. This is where you're going to make yourself alive. Not in a bar shooting pool or at some guy's house getting drunk. This is where you belong. You belong here making a life. And you know what's crazy? Is when you're least expecting yourself to be doing something like this, and you think it doesn't lend itself to the building blocks of a great life, when you look later on this night, it's nights like these that you're going to look back on and say, wow, those are beautiful nights, man. I got to sit back and listen to this crazy poet. You know, it's so beautiful that you put yourself here in this space right now. I wish I could have done it. I didn't have the courage. Did not have the courage that you have. Okay, anything else? Yeah.
What do you want people to take away from your writing?
I don't know. I got 31 books in 20-some languages. I don't know what people take away from it. All I know is that I walked away from the magazines, the interviews. I even got something, you know, I get something in the emails, you know. I don't have Twitter or Instagram or whatever. And I have somebody that monitors my computer, who answers all the emails. And she called me up. She said, Jim, do you want to do this? And it's like this really famous podcast in New York. Has like millions of listeners. And it's like the best writers in America. And she's like, Mr. Baca, please, can I have an hour with you on the air? Please, Mr. Baca. And I told my assistant, nah, I'm not doing that shit. So I don't do interviews. I got 2 invites from Oprah to come and visit me in prisons to do the work. I mean, to check out the work I do. And I said to her, we can do this if you focus the cameras on the people and not me. And she said, no, but you're the story. I said, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I'll tell you why I don't want to do it. I was in Alameda with The Color Purple. What's your name? Huh? No, The Color Purple. Alice Walker. I was there with Alice, and we had a literacy program, right? And I told all these kids they were going to go away to prison for a long time. I'll give you $100. I'm giving you a writing workshop. I'll be back. I'll give you $100 if you can write me just a half a page of what you think about this book. I have these book programs, right? So they're like, yeah, but I really couldn't read and write. But anybody who would put in the effort, I give them $100. Right? It did. Nobody could do it. So fast forward about a year and a half. I get a letter in the mail, and it's really dirty and oily and greasy and grimy, and it's earmarked from the Bay Area. And I went like that, and I could feel some money in it. So I wanted to go buy some cigarettes. So I tore up the envelope, and took the money out, and then I read the letter. And when I finished reading it, I regretted tearing the damn whole thing up. I said, screw it. It's already tore up. I might as well just go buy my smokes, you know? So I went and bought my cigarettes, came back and read the letter. And it was by one of the black kids in that writing workshop. He had kept my book, Immigrants in Our Own Land, which is sold millions of copies, right? And I give it out to the kids in prison because it's about being in prison, right? And I gave it to the black kid who was heavy into the gangs. But when I left, I guess he continued to study. He continued to study and study and study, you know? And he came home one night, and he found his mom sitting in the corner, and the entire apartment was tore apart. She said she'd been looking for crack or Oxycontin. She tore the cabinets up. She tore the drawers out. She tore everything. And she was sitting in the corner holding my book. And she had her finger on the page. And when he walked in, she said to him, "Take me to the treatment center, the hospital." And he came up and he said, he grabbed the book from her and opened it up because he thought it had some crack or coke in it. And it was a poem that convinced her to have treatment. And he picked his mama up, took her to treatment. That weekend, he took the money that he made at Swinging Doors, stuffed it into an envelope and sent it to me. And said, "I don't know how much they pay you, but I know poets don't get paid shit. So I'm sending you the money I got to just tell you thank you. And yeah, I'm in community college right now because of you." And that happens a million times in my life. So you can never replace that gratification with an interview on Esquire or the New Yorker. That stuff's bullshit. I can't. You're calling me up. It's like, this is bullshit. You're not gonna, I don't care what you grade my books. I don't give a shit. As long as I live the way I live and my books are reaching the people that they're reaching, dude, I'm okay. And I don't tell anybody that I make a lot, six figures and more on the royalties of my books. So I don't know who the hell's buying them, but I'm making a shitload of money on the royalties. And I'm okay. And I'm not gonna whisper. I'm not gonna upset the road. I'm just gonna keep doing my work. And that goes to show you again. Remember that story about me crying and somebody yelling bitch at me and they threw beer at me? And I went to a little tiny apartment for losers and I started writing this book. Just follow your heart. Follow it. And I swear to God, you're going to get there, man. I didn't know how to get. I thought, this is nothing. This is bad writing. Turned out to be an international bestseller. I'm like, this is like... And not only that, you know what's the best thing about that? Yeah, selling is good. But the best thing about that is when you're reading an interview from a writer that you respect, and the writer mentions your name as one of the people he likes. You're like, oh, damn, dude, that's the shit. I mean, this is the guy that I honor, right? I honor this guy like Cormac McCarthy, who recently died, All the Pretty Horses. He mentions me in an interview, oh, yeah, I like Baca's work. Dude, let's do some coke. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, that would be my reward, right? Back in the day. All this shit happens so good. Let's get so fucked up that we can't even know our name. And we do that because as kids, you know, when something good happens to us, we know that it's not gonna last. We're not gonna have anything tomorrow. So let's get fucked up on Tito Tequila. And let's do coke and let's pass out. Not even know the chick you're with, you know? Let's just really lose it because tomorrow we're not gonna have anything. Why not like normal people? We need to invest this $20,000. Oh shit, dude, let's find a poker game. Let's let it live, you know? And it's so bad, it's so bad. The way we were taught, that we need to live tonight as much as we can live. And sometimes the saddest thing is we don't wake up. A lot of our friends just don't wake up. They party too hard. But that's our mentality. Let's do it now because we can't tomorrow. We're not going to have anything tomorrow. You know, it's like, wow, why can't we plan? Why can't we do financial planning? Why can't we invest? Why can't we? None of that enters our mind. It's like, look at what I got, man. It's party time. And then you bottom out and you join the drudgery again. And something happens when you get something good, like, yeah, let's party. It's those little joyous things that destroy us little by little. Okay, everybody, thank you so much. If you want to buy a book, come over here, $10 a copy.